I wanted to ask, first of all, how COVID-19 has sort of impacted the way that healthcare marketers are operating. Some lessons you've learned over the last few months that impact not just the products you're doing, but maybe the industry overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first and most important impact is really about patients' access to physicians and doctors' offices. When we first saw COVID start to hit and offices being shut down, uh, one, obviously it limited patients' ability to see physicians. But for physicians, it forced them into telemedicine and, like all of us, changing the way in which we work. Um, the good of that is that it's accelerated the adoption of telemedicine, and there's a lot of learnings. But obviously, the things that we're concerned about as marketers within this landscape is patients potentially ignoring symptoms or delaying doctor's visits, which could have negative ramifications to their health. Um, from a marketing perspective, I think the biggest impact is probably to our client sales reps who historically would be able to go in and visit and talk with physicians. With offices being closed, that really limited the ability for personal promotion. Um, so in those cases, this is where digital has really picked up the slack and really been a bigger part of our clients' marketing strategy when it comes to physician marketing. And while certain things have started to open up and physicians and Salesforce have started to interact in person, that's still a case by case basis as we're seeing the ebbs and flows of the coronavirus and seeing a swing back. We really have to take this sort of regional approach to how we're thinking about marketing, in the sense that where we're seeing upticks in coronavirus and possible shutdowns, we have to consider that in the way we're thinking about deploying our marketing.
So, what are some of the tools that you guys use, healthcare marketers use, that might be different from your colleagues who do other consumer or business marketing? The one-to-one question, CRM is, I think, a big part of it. How does that fit in? And there's different kinds of data vendors that you're working with. Give us a little bit of insight into the data side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from the patient side, obviously from a restriction and regulatory perspective, we're really limited in what we can do. So it's a case by case basis based on the condition that we're working in and our client's comfort level with remarketing or data usage. But at the basic level, a lot of what we're doing is site retargeting and contextual targeting, and using that contextual targeting to understand where that patient is within the journey. On the physician side, obviously, we have a little more flexibility from a CRM perspective. There's a hurdle of personal and non-personal promotion. So how do we put a strategy in place that thinks about how we're marketing to that physician through email and through direct conversations, as well as marrying that with some digital augmentation or supplementation based on what's happening. Data flows, there's a lot of data partners. In some cases, we're being asked to bring data partners forward to solve some of our client challenges. And some of our clients who are more advanced have direct data partnerships that we would obviously work within or augment with other data partners that might allow us to drive a little more precision when it comes to targeting or messaging or even segmentation.
What about changes in creative? And also, and we're particularly interested in CTV, and I know you guys have challenges where you have to run the disclaimer and you have to buy certain kinds of inventory. Tell us about CTV buying inventory, how you guys do it, targeting, getting the right purchases, and also, working, with a DSP to make that happen, how that whole buying scenario works around CTV inventory.
Yeah, well, obviously, as we're looking at the recent changes in media consumption behavior, across the board, we're seeing an uptick in consumption of CTV. For us, traditionally, we're leveraging programmatic levers to buy CTV, both in consumer as well as our physician marketing campaigns. That obviously requires us to be in lockstep with the creative agencies that we work with, whether they're publicist agencies or non-publicist agencies, to create the right assets in order to create that engagement. We take a very much a test and learn approach to everything we do, including our step into CTV. And that's something we're seeing becoming a larger line item in our media plans as we move forward, because of the changes in adoption.
So what's the role of a DSP in healthcare? And, kind of explain a little bit about that. And I know you guys are doing some work with Deep Intent. What's the sort of the dynamic of the relationship with a DSP?
Yeah, like everything we do programmatically, within healthcare, it's really not a one size fits all. So when we think about the partner selection for programmatic, it's somewhat bespoke. And we really think about three core tenets, and it's really around data, inventory, and technology, and the marrying of those three components. So that plays a large role into our selection. With a consumer or patient focused campaign, we can use some of the more traditional DSPs because of the way we target. But when it comes to physician marketing, there's unique data and inventory needs that we need in place, and we need partners that really understand that landscape and give us the ability to think about segmentation in different ways based on the physicians that we know are seeing patients with certain conditions, marrying that with some of the offline sales strategies and sales segmentations. And partners like Deep Intent understand that landscape, are able to do some of those things and bring data forward, as well as connect us into the right inventory that allow us to connect in the right way through data as well as through contextual targeting.
And finally, Ray, give us some of your thoughts on the roadmap ahead, maybe into next year, in terms of the tools you'd like to use, that you expect to use. There's a lot of things that are happening. Your category is very dynamic.
Yeah.
Where do things go for you in terms of digital activation for healthcare?
Yeah, I would say when we think about that, we're being brought to the table more and more by our clients to ask our perspective. And our clients sit on different ends of the spectrum when we think about that maturity curve when it comes to digital adoption and digital transformation. And we're seeing, a change in the need even in our skill sets as far as understanding, the ad tech and martech landscape. I like to always say, connected data starts with connected people. So some of the things that we're doing are really just getting the right people in the room to develop, the right assessments of what's needed in order to accomplish what we're doing. But in short, I think a couple things. One is, when we think about our ecosystem, the complexity goes beyond just regulatory. We are in a complex ecosystem in the sense that we are marketing to two different audiences, in a patient and a physician. We are hoping that they come together and have a productive conversation. And in that conversation, we're hoping that they talk about the treatment that we're marketing to them. And that's complex. And I don't think there's any other industry that is met with that challenge. So when we think about the evolution of what we're doing, being able to connect those two in a compliant way to understand how patient marketing is leading to a physician connection, really important for us. When we think about the idea of personal and non-personal promotion, so how do we coordinate better with Salesforce strategies, with email marketing strategies to physicians, the ability to connect that in a more seamless way is a huge focus for us. And when we think about next best action, being able to do that in an omni-channel way is really the holy grail for us. We have really great proofs of concept and executions at the channel level. And now we're looking to figure out, how do we scale that and how do we make that more seamless across channel? So those are big areas for us, and big ways in which we are really trying to drive our clients down the maturity model when it comes to the digital activation.